Welcome everybody to our Super Bowl edition of Two Guys and a Mic. I'm one of your hosts, RP.
And I'm your other host who actually predicted the outcome of the game, Big Sean.
Wait, hold up. Don't start the show like that. Look, we're gonna spend 40 minutes on that. Because if I recall correctly, your numbers were far from 31-9.
Well, I predicted a Tampa Bay victory. So I pat myself on the back a little bit.
I'll give you that. You definitely picked Tampa Bay to win.
Now, as far as the final score is concerned, I had no idea that Kansas City was going to be in that.
And that's where I was most of the night. I'm just like, wow. And if any of you guys follow us on Instagram and Facebook, you see the post I put up a little bit ago. It actually says, wow, I didn't expect that. And it wasn't that I didn't expect Tampa to have a chance or possibility of Tampa winning. I didn't see, I truly did not see a 22-point win. Neither did Vegas, because they had it at 3.5. I think when I woke up today, it was 3.5 for Kansas City. So nobody saw no 22-point blowout. Nobody did. They didn't even, I think the money line was 56. So they
didn't. The over-under? Yeah, the over-under was 56.
I mean, over-under, I'm sorry. Yeah, the over-under was 56.
Which I almost bet on the under. I started to, and I didn't for some reason. I'm regretting that.
You know why you didn't? I'm going to tell you why you didn't. Because you would have thought that Kansas City would have scored more than 9 points.
Right.
I
figured, in my mind, I said, you know what, the defenses are probably going to play a little bit better than people expect them to. So I was like, let me go ahead and do the under. Then I kind of talked myself out of it, based on kind of what you're saying. It's like, well, is there a better chance of the defense playing, more up to par, or the offenses doing what they normally do? And I kind of lean towards the offenses. My thought process. So
it just wasn't. Unfortunately, from a viewership standpoint, it just wasn't the Super Bowl most people thought it was going to be.
I enjoyed it.
It wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't what everybody thought it was going to be. So
right,
I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it. Maybe I'm coming off like it was a bad game.
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, for most fans want to see a close game. They want to see a shootout. But I remember we were talking about the other day. I was interested in seeing the chess match.
Yeah.
Just seeing how, the Tampa Bay defense disrupted everything Kansas City was trying to do, which was one of, my keys. I said they have to. Really, I've been saying that about Kansas City going into the playoffs. Like, stop being scared of them. Get up in their chest, attack them a little bit, and throw them off their square. And really, them not having their two starting tackles
that hurt.
Showed up. Yeah, that definitely reared its ugly head during the game, man. But go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I had a few takeaways, and let's go ahead and get into the takeaways. It's kind of late, so let's try to get into the game a little bit more, so that we can dissect our little parts or whatever we think happened. So I'll go ahead. I'll get started. So a couple of my takeaways. Number one, like I said, it just wasn't the game that I'll put it like this: the game itself was a lot like the halftime show. Wasn't that it wasn't full of talent? Wasn't that it was the worst thing you've ever seen? Just wasn't what you expected. I kind of got to a point where I went into the kitchen and started hanging the TV. Like it wasn't entertaining after a while.
Right.
That's how bad it had gotten, but it's not because the two teams sucked or it's been years where you knew going in, like the Chargers versus the 49ers, like back in 95-ish. We knew what was gonna happen in that game. We knew that them dudes didn't stand a chance against the 49ers that year. You just knew it.
Right.
And then as the game went on, you just saw that. And sometimes you just have those years where that happens. So, but getting back on point or back on base, some of my takeaways were it's simple, but listen, first of all, one of my biggest issues in the game was the doggone referees. I just felt like they were calling stuff that didn't need to be called, especially early on. There were some penalties that I'm like, man, come on, bro. That's not egregious. That's not egregious enough. Hell, had they called some of those holding penalties the exact same way, like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, the Browns could have been in this game because the same holding stuff was going on in that game. Even Jim Nantz said that this is something that these cornerbacks do. They do a lot of physical holding and pulling and stuff. So they've been doing it all year, and now you decide that this is a penalty.
Well, this particular crew, because I had read this yesterday, they called the most holding penalties all season.
Well, they made sure that
more so, but they were talking about more so on the offensive holding, the offensive lineman holding. But they said as far as holding penalties, this crew called the most. I really didn't have a problem with it because they were holding penalties.
Well, listen, again, the reason that I can't say much about it, what you didn't hear me say was that those were bad calls.
Yeah,
where I'm going is in terms of continuity. Yeah. So if we're playing and we've been playing this exact way, let's say all of a sudden the 3-point line just goes back in the championship game and you didn't know that it was going back. That could change how many of those shots that you make. And if that's a huge part of your offense, y'all wasn't calling this before. This wasn't a call before. I saw at least 5 or 6 holding penalties in the Browns game versus the Chiefs. And if this is what they've been doing all year long, why would it change today?
Well, it's a different crew, though.
I mean, it may have been a different.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand now. Listen. I do understand what you were saying. I get that. I do. And I know that this is supposedly the best crew because they picked the best crew or whatever to do the championship games, as they should.
Right.
But my thing is maybe there needs to be some level of conversation with the teams like, yo, this is what we do.
The only way I would have had a problem with those calls is if they were being one-sided, like if Tampa was getting away with it and
I will say
Kansas City wasn't.
Well,
so if it was like that, I would have been like, well.
And we're not talking about holdings. We're talking about, like, say, the 15-yard personal foul on the Honey Badger.
Well,
that wasn't no 15-yard penalty, dog. It just wasn't.
Right. Now that I agree with. Or if anything, it should have been offsetting penalties because Tom Brady.
There you go. It should have been offsetting penalties.
Now
none of these games. None of these calls. I don't think, quote unquote, changed the game. Not changed it to the extent that, I mean, hell, Tampa Bay was winning from pretty much the jump. So it wasn't.
There was a couple that may have, but I don't know how controversial. Like the one where they were offsides on the
kick on the field goal or something.
Yeah,
and they ended up getting them a first down.
And then they got a touchdown after that. And then the one some people were questioning at the end of the half when they went deep down the sideline. And dude fell and he tripped, but he tripped.
You know what? In real time, you're gonna make that call because it looked like, in real time, it did look like a penalty. I said, dang.
He did grab his ankle though when he fell. It wasn't like he was like their feet got to.
But I mean, you again, I think that's because it was slow motion. So if you look at it in fast motion and you're the back judge, and so you back there in the back, and you're trying to move this microphone because I think it's messing up my background. You're the back judge, so you're trying to make that call while you're kind of backpedaling, watching the play. You don't quite see your line of sight. Is this dude is behind Mike Evans,
right?
So you have to make that call in the moment at that situation. In that situation, and I know why he threw that. I actually didn't have as much of an issue with that as I did with some of the holding that you've done all year long. And I think what I'm saying, yeah, that was a different crew and all that stuff. Listen, it needs to be equivalent all the way across the board. If it's travel, it's travel. If you take more than 3 steps, just damn it, you travel.
Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever get to the point where we'll have continuity in officiating in any sport, because just because of the human element of it and what certain guys perceive as, you know what I'm saying? Like you see NBA games now sometimes, where it's a free fall. They let them do whatever, or a baseball game where the umpire, he just, for whatever reason that day, he's like, I'm giving the pitchers 2 inches off the plate all day. You know how they do it.
Yeah.
There's no, especially Angel Hernandez, who I think is the worst umpire in Major League Baseball.
How is this dude still a doggone umpire, bro?
I have no idea.
Like, seriously, I'm not joking at all. How on earth is Angel Hernandez still licensed, or whatever the hell you got to be a damn umpire?
A licensed and bonded umpire.
I mean, what? I mean, damn. Major League Baseball, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah,
this dude had run-ins with more people. This dude had run-ins with cats that ain't even in the league no more.
Right.
Like, and you still got run-ins with new cats too? Come on, bro. Angel Hernandez is awful. And like, it carries over to when guys were playing and now they're managers. Like, his beef carries over.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, I just had a few issues with the umps. With the referees today. You got me thinking about baseball now.
Right.
I had a few issues with some of the calls. Other than that, my other issues were more schematic than anything else. I think, like you said, I think that the offensive line issues that Kansas City had was a problem. I know that if you go back last year before last, everybody was saying Baker Mayfield's running for his life. Listen to me. Patrick Mahomes was running for his life today.
Man, that dude was running like he was trying to get back to Coney.
Man, and he was stuck in the Bronx.
You're right. He was stuck in the Bronx trying to get back to Coney.
Man, listen,
he was running around today.
That dude, like, literally, it was like a jailbreak almost every play. He would step back and there was somebody in his face every time. And they would run, or excuse me, they would blitz a 5th guy sometimes. Sometimes they would send a 6th guy. I know one play they sent both of the corners. Like, they were different guys coming at each moment. But generally, it was just the front 4. The front 4 was just overpowering those guys. I don't know if the moment was too big. I don't know if, and I'm not criticizing these guys because they're not starters.
Right.
They're not starters. And this goes back to what we were saying most of the season when we had guys that were filling in. Sometimes if you're asking a guy to do something that's not really in their wheelhouse, how much, land-basing can you do with this guy or to this guy? You kind of have to understand.
And you know what else was crazy is even when Mahomes had time, he was off, man. He was throwing passes in the dirt. He was just off target. And that's why I don't, with the calls, because a lot of people, the thing I hated about the penalties the most, I was like, okay, this is going to give the Tom Brady conspiracy theorists fuel, to say that, they're the ones that handed them the game. And I was like, no, because the penalties had nothing to do with Kansas City not scoring. It wasn't like KC was getting offensive penalties. Wasn't like they was driving, getting holding, or they were just calling stuff to mess up their drives and things like that. Yeah, that hurt them on a defensive side. But that was no excuse for them. They didn't score a touchdown, man.
But that's what I was saying.
Not even in garbage time,
That's what I was saying when I was saying that none of the penalties really kind of changed the outcome. None of the penalties that I was mad at, I just thought that a lot of shit was ticky-tack.
I get it. I get it.
But I don't think
I don't
the
all the
ticky
way
tack
disagree
is
with you.
like those plays didn't happen in the end zone. Those
Right.
plays didn't take points off the boards per se. Maybe eventually, as the team drove down the field or something like that, you could make that argument. But like overall, I don't think that any of the penalties stopped what was already apparent. Like you said, they didn't even score a touchdown. Like it wasn't like they were coming back and some goofy ass call happened. It really was no goofy ass call. I just didn't like all of it.
Right.
And they said it at halftime too. Actually, I was
They did.
thinking, I was
I was
thinking,
surprised. I was surprised they said it,
but
especially
they said
moving
it at
aside
halftime.
because
Like, man,
normally,
God dang, refs, chill out. Let these dudes
right,
play. And that's where I was at. Like, let these dudes play. You know how hard this season has been. You don't want to be. Listen, I have always thought this way, and I think I can't remember who it was specifically, but some announcer said this, and I want to say it was Tommy Heinsohn, because Tommy is over. He's a habitual line stepper like this. Tommy was like, in one game, you got to let these guys play. Nobody came to see y'all, and then nobody come here to see you blow your whistle. And almost
right,
ever since then, and this was like late 80s, early 90s, when I heard this, ever since then, I've agreed with that. Nobody comes to see the dudes in the stripes. There's no reason for me to know the referees' names like that.
right.
But it happens, and I get it. And you're in a high profile spot, so again, I understand it. I get it, but nobody comes to see you. Everybody comes to see the GOAT, that guy, not you. And you shouldn't get in the way unless it's an actual penalty. But that means you got to call the calls that are actual calls. You got to call the stuff that's actually a penalty, or if it's a penalty today, it's a penalty. Next Sunday, it's a penalty the Sunday after that. It's a penalty on Super Bowl Sunday.
Right.
So call the
It's
game.
tough. It's tough because if on one hand, we'll say it's ticky tack, but then if you're a Tampa fan and then you don't call it, and it's like, well, damn.
I don't care what
You
you
ain't, you
tell
ain't,
me. Listen, if you call the game right, you're gonna
you
be
know,
mad anyway. But you'll end up being more mad. Like, let's say with the Browns, we've had players that you knew that was pass interference. As soon as you saw the flag, you was like, damn it.
right.
So if you're actually
Yeah,
watching the game and trying to be a fan, with emotion, you're gonna be mad at everything anyway.
that's true.
But if you're actually watching the game and you know what happened, you're watching the game, you're like, this God, come on, bro. You can't do that right there. And you can't give Tom Brady another opportunity. And I'm gonna get to that in a second too. So let's get back to that offensive line. That offensive line was just in a tough spot. And Patrick Mahomes was literally running for his life all day. All day. This is a guy who isn't over his turf toe. He probably shouldn't have been playing. His turf toe was a problem in the game against us. I think that's when he injured himself, or he
Right.
made it worse
Made
against
it
us.
work. Yeah.
So it rolled over into last 2 weeks ago in the championship game, and they were still able to pull that out. But listen to Deion Sanders talk about turf toe. It's something that just doesn't go away. So by the time they mentioned in the broadcast that Mahomes was limping, I had already picked up that on the fact that he was limping that 2
Yeah.
quarters ago. I saw him
Right.
limping in the first quarter because he hasn't totally gotten over that. So put these 3 things together, not taking away the championship from these guys, but
Right.
just put these 3 things together. You got a patchwork of an offensive line and a hurt, injured Patrick Mahomes. It will affect how these guys are playing.
Yeah, they were just out of sync, man. They were dropping passes.
And I'm gonna
Yes,
tell
I
you
saw
something else that
Kelsey
took him
drop
out of
like
sync.
2.
I'm gonna
Go
tell you
ahead.
something else that took him out of sync too. But I wanted to mention that offensive line again, and this is why I kept saying, like saying the offseason for the Browns, we got to make sure that line has depth. We lost a lot of people on our offensive line, and in some cases, we didn't miss much. Not saying that those guys weren't missed, but we managed to be able to play through a lot of bad situations because we had a deep offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
These guys didn't have that, and you can see the difference. So I'm gonna continue to advocate for a deep offensive line that understands our blocking schemes, whether it's a pass or a throw,
Right.
a pass or a run type of situation. And they didn't have that, but this team still made it to the Super Bowl as defending champions or whatever. So that's always going to be high on my list in terms of shit for the Browns. But that offensive line and his injuries hurt. Now, I'm going to tell you something else that took them off, and this was my next point, actually. It's a perfect segue. You mentioned this a little bit earlier in the show, and it really showed up in this area. Them dudes wasn't scared on Tampa Bay, and they just got into these guys. They bumped them off of the line. They interrupted a lot of what they did. They didn't just let them run freely. And you have to do that with this team.
Right.
You gotta get in their way. Listen, Tampa Bay's defense is, if I didn't look it up, but I'm gonna look it up. Tampa Bay's defense ain't ranked that much higher than ours.
Yeah, which is, I don't understand how they calculate these rankings at all. Because this night and day. Because even when thing I noticed when, Kansas City was trying to do that, their quick passes in the flat, bubble screens and all of that, man, Tampa's defenders were right there.
Yeah.
Right there. There was a linebacker was up there. You saw Levante David all over the field. Devin White was all over the field. Shaquille Barrett. It was a total team defensive effort, and they just schemed the hell out of that game.
Yep.
I don't know what scheme they were running at all. Yep. It's almost like they were running because they were really just bringing pressure with the front four. Yep. They would bring a safety blitz or a corner blitz every now and then, but it was almost kind of like they were just playing a shell. Like they just had guys kind of like a zone where you had coverage all over the field. It was a guy in a spot everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I'm misstating that, but that's what it seemed like.
I don't think you are. I think you're more right than you are wrong. But again, if you watch, go back and watch the game. When these guys started getting into their routes, there was a bump. There was somebody else picking them off the line. So it threw off the timing. Like if you're in a 3-step drop, 1, 2, 3, you got to be ready to throw that ball coming out of the 3rd step. That's something that whether you play quarterback or not, you've heard enough, you understand it. He couldn't do that in 3-step drops. He couldn't do it in 5-step drops. These guys did everything they could to disrupt the timing of Patrick Mahomes. They did not give him time from the blitzing. They didn't give him time with his wide receivers because they were bumping him and jumping routes. So stuff that he was used to seeing, he didn't see. And here's the other point that I wanted to make. Not only that, the defense definitely did their job. Tampa Bay's defense definitely did their job. The 5th point that I had, and that's my final point, was I saw some uncharacteristic drops today. This loss ain't on Patrick Mahomes. This loss is on those doggone wide receivers, man. These guys dropped passes that could have gotten them touchdowns and first downs.
Yeah.
All night. Not just like once or twice. Travis Kelce. I mean, we're talking about all pros. We ain't talking about Donovan Peoples-Jones or some 3rd or 4th or 5th dude down the line. We're talking about Travis Kelce. We're talking about Tyreek Hill. Y'all dropped passes today that you can't drop in these big games, especially when you're trying to mount a comeback. And I'm here to tell you, I watched this dude run around. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it's over. The play's over. This play's over. And he just throws this ball casually into the end zone and hits a dude in his face mask. And he dropped it. Twice I saw that tonight.
Yep.
That's 2 touchdowns that didn't get caught. One was on 4th down. It wasn't Patrick Mahomes who lost this game. This game was lost because these guys, like you said, these guys were never in a rhythm. Tampa Bay did everything that they could to keep them out of a rhythm.
Right. And that's what I'm saying about these one-dimensional teams too. Yeah. I said Kansas City does not try to run the football. And that's how Tampa Bay played it. Now, if you notice, at the beginning of the second half, when when Casey got the ball to start the half, they start running the ball a little bit. And they had some success running.
They had some success, yeah.
And I was like, well, why didn't y'all work that into the game plan? That way you keep the defense off balance. Now maybe you can't bring all that pressure coming like that full steam, because now you gotta, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I like about having a diverse offense, when you can't predict what the other team, and that's kind of the reason why I gave the advantage to Tampa going into the game, because Tampa can do a little bit. They're more diverse offensively to keep the KC defense off balance, and they ran the ball pretty well. You know, Fournette and Ronald Jones had a hell of a game today. I hate
to keep breaking up the Browns. Tampa Bay ran 28 times against a team that doesn't run the ball well. Leonard Fournette had 89 yards.
89? Okay.
And Ronald Jones, 16 carries for 89 yards for Fournette. And then Ronald Jones, the second, had 12 carries for 61 yards. Both of them over 5 yards per carry. We did not run the ball that much against the Chiefs. We didn't. We threw more. Tom Brady only threw 29 times.
Mm-hmm.
We threw, in that game against the Chiefs, we threw almost 40 times. We didn't run the ball enough. That's what I kept saying. Got to run the ball against a team that don't know how to stop the run. You can't tell me that Leonard Fournette is better than Nick Chubb. I'll take Nick Chubb right now over Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette has some good runs in him, and he has been good in his past. He ain't better than Nick Chubb.
Right. Hey, your sound just went out, RP. Hey, to check your mic, I was trying to tell you, motion to you that you had went on mute.
Oh, did I go out?
Yeah, you're back now. You went on mute for about 10 seconds.
Okay, my bad. All I was saying was I don't want to make this into like a Browns bashing or a Browns what we didn't do. I'm looking at the guys who are there, who've been there, and I want us to be there too. So I want to be on that level. I want to be par with these guys. I want to be able to play with these guys with my team. I want my team to be there, and I want my team to think through these problems. So these guys ran 28 times against a team that doesn't run well, and they averaged over 5 yards a carry with both of their guys. I will take our two guys, Hunt and Chubb, versus Jones and Fournette every week. Every week I'll take ours over them. But you have to find some level of balance as you continue to go forward, and it ain't just the offense.
And then another surprise too was, Gronk had a huge game. It only shows maybe 3 catches for 60-something yards or something like that, or 4, but
2 of them for touchdowns.
Yeah, 2 of them for touchdown, but he had huge plays over the middle, man. So he had quite a few chunk plays.
Listen, and he made the catches when he needed to make the catches.
Exactly.
And that's what I mean. Like when you're supposedly the guy, they brought you back to do this. You got to come back and you got to do that. Tom Brady brought you back. You wouldn't listen if that were any other used to be Patriots quarterback that he played with. He wasn't coming back. He came back because it was Tom Brady.
And my boy had sent me a text, and I didn't even think about this. He was like, man, the Chiefs are getting beat by a team that has a bunch of cast-offs from other teams. And I was like, damn it, you're right.
Oh, no, I saw
that. At least on the offensive side of the ball,
Yeah, I saw
You
that.
know?
And hell, defensively too. They got JPP and
Well,
Dominican
yeah,
Sue.
and then Sue, yeah,
You know, they got guys that have been cast off.
right.
All, you know, pretty much, I guess, throughout their roster. Definitely offensively. Um, you know, with Fournette, you got Tom Brady, and I don't know that Tom Brady was cast off, but I would feel that way if I were him. When you don't want to re-sign me,
Yeah.
I don't know that
And,
Gronk
and
was.
I hear a lot of Tom Brady hate out here. A lot of people saying, well, he didn't do this and he didn't do that, and he didn't contribute to this Super Bowl and he didn't contribute to that Super Bowl.
He threw 3 touchdowns.
And I'm like, man, I'm like this man just went to a whole nother team with no offseason, no offseason programming, no preseason, and won a damn Super Bowl against the defending world champions. And a
Bro,
lot of people weren't giving them a shot, you know, to win this game. It wasn't like people didn't say they didn't have a shot at all, but you know, most people were leaning KC
yeah,
in this game. So I have to give this
I
man
was.
props. And I've
Shit,
never
I
been a
was.
Tom Brady. I've never been a Tom Brady hater. You know, I'm not a Tom Brady fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a
Right.
fanboy. I wasn't a Patriots fanboy, but I always respected, you know, his game. He always made plays when he had to. And people bring up the cheating scandals and stuff like that. And my thing is, yeah, the Patriots did some shady stuff, but you still have to execute.
Still got to play the game.
Still.
Yep.
So,
Still got to play the game. And one of the things I most respect about you in terms of your ideology, in terms of how how you call things or say things, is you do have at times, depending on what we're talking about, you have this level of being unbiased and bipartisan about what you're saying. Like, you at least understand the game. You can hate a dude. Like, we don't like Ben Roethlisberger, but we both agree he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And if he doesn't get to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, we will both say, what the hell is wrong with them? Because the dude has done the work. He has done the work.
You know what? And why you mentioned the Hall of Fame?
That was awesome.
You Hall of Fame committee for not putting.
Hold up. Don't do that yet. Let's get finished with this, and then we'll get to that. I do want to talk about that. I do want to talk about. I'm glad I brought that up, not even thinking about it, and you picked up on it so good. But listen, whether you like Tom Brady or not, I'm like you. I'm not a Tom Brady hater, but I'm not a Tom Brady fan either. However, when I'm watching football, I know good players. I know good players. I know dirty players. I can see it. You know, unless you actually play and you're on the field, and I get some intel from somebody on the field, you find out that this dude is way dirtier than you think, or he said this to me in my ear hole, or something like that. That's different. But from the surface of things that we see, I know listen, man, Tom Brady's a good freaking football player. I want to just call him a quarterback, but he's a good football player. And people don't like him because of his politics. You know how many people that you root for on a Sunday that voted for Donald Trump?
Right. You have no idea.
Lots.
Yeah.
So let that shit go.
Exactly.
You want a guy on your team. Listen, Joe Thomas, went on the stage for George Bush at one point in time. You think that means that I don't like Joe Thomas?
Right.
That's Joe Thomas. I still like Joe. So you can't dislike a guy because of his politics. You can't dislike the guy because he beats your team on a regular basis. Your team need to get better. I don't dislike Ben because he beats us. I dislike Ben because he plays for the damn Steelers and he's a piece of crap. That's a difference.
Right.
It's a difference. So Tom Brady is Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the GOAT. I said that last week, 2 weeks ago, I said it.
Yeah.
And the reason that I said it was not because I'm a fanboy. I have been resisting calling this dude the GOAT. After watching him take a team, like Sean said, a team that he wasn't on last year, whole new coach, whole new coaching staff, whole new regimen of what I need to do to be better going forward. Hold on. Doing because I just saw it all come on my screen, so I'm like, I don't know if that was cutting me out or what. he went to a whole new atmosphere, a whole new environment, an environment that ain't familiar to him, an environment that he had to change. The reason
Right.
that the damn Tampa Bay Buccaneers are where they are, whether they won tonight or not, the reason that they are where they are right this second, that dude right there behind me. That's why. He came with that cachet. He came with, I've been to 9 Super Bowls. This is the way it's supposed to be done type of attitude. I'm
Right.
going to get up every Monday morning, whether everybody is here or not, and I'm going to watch film. And I'm going to need my offensive coordinator, and I'm going to need my quarterback's coach. I'm going to need all y'all in the damn room with me.
Yeah,
This
and I
dude,
think one of the biggest moments was when we talked about that, the unsportsmanlike conduct file that Tyrann Mathieu got. After that, KC lost their composure.
but bro, it you know what? That penalty took the steam out of the honey. He wasn't a honey badger no more. He was Tyrann
No,
Mathieu.
you're right, exactly. He cycled in. Tom Brady kind of like psychologically got in their head, got them off their square, and that was
Took him
pretty
right
much
out of
it at that point. Because I kept waiting for Kansas City to come back. I was like, he was what,
I was
21
too.
at
I
half.
was
I'm
too.
like, okay, I was like, KC get the ball back. They'll
Yep.
go down the square. Like eventually they're gonna beat KC and they're gonna have one of those drives. And they kept stalling and getting field goals. And I'm like, wow, and it just never never materialized.
I truly thought it was over with when they came out and went 3 and out right out of halftime. I said, oh, that's it. They can't even, like, whatever was said in the halftime didn't even materialize into at least a 5-play drive, 6-play drive type of thing.
Right.
Y'all
And
came
I wonder too if Andy Reid was distracted by the stuff going on with his son. I know like athletes try to compartmentalize stuff, and when they're on the field, that's all that matters. But what's going on with his son? It sounds like his son, may be under investigation for that accident.
Yeah.
And I think that may affected Andy Reid mentally, maybe a little bit, maybe the way he called his game. I don't know that for sure, but that has to be in the back of your mind,
And
especially when you're trying to, and maybe not on game day, but maybe preparation. That happened. When did that happen? Yesterday or the day before yesterday?
I think it happened like Thursday or Friday. But I agree, it may have had something to do with his prep time, like how
because you have to take time. Because I'm pretty sure at some point, when all that stuff came down, he had to stop doing what he was doing game and figure out what the hell was going on. Even just looking at for the well-being of his son. His son may have been in the hospital for a minute, or whatever.
That's where your assistant coaches come in.
Yeah,
you can't. Here's the thing, and you know this, and I know you know this, and I know that at the end of the day, me and you are really good people. We try to be good people. We try to care. We try to think everything through. And we try to understand where guys are, especially in tough spots. I mean, this is a tough spot. If my son was in an accident, oh yeah, I'm out. I got to go check on my son. Hell, there was kids involved in this thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot. It's a lot to this. And in the preparation stages, he probably was distracted. However, that's what the assistant coaches are for. Y'all guys have to keep it going, whether I'm here or not, to prepare us to win. Because that's still ultimately our job. It's not just mine. That's our job. I don't think that Kansas City came in full of themselves. I just think they came in.
No, I don't think they were full of themselves either.
Expecting less. And I don't know if that's possible.
Well, here's the thing too.
I truly think that these guys were just ready to play. Tampa was just ready to play.
Yeah, and here's also what happens when you really don't have no adversity. They in 3 years.
True. Yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying? They've had close games, but they haven't had any real adversity.
They
Like what the
continue to
Browns
pull them
went
out.
through, what the Browns went through this year was real adversity on the field and off the field. And when you get through that together, you kind of have, you have a stronger bond too. When other stuff starts coming at you, you know how to handle it. Today, KC looked like, man, what is going on? What's happening? Like that,
Yeah,
like that boxer going up against a guy that's not a journeyman, that's not supposed to beat them. Like you, the younger, stronger, faster fighter, and you in there with a journeyman fighter, and then he's slowly jabbing you here, boom, pointing you here, boom, quicker than you thought he was. Got a little bit more power than he thought he would. He wasn't supposed to be hanging in there like that, and now you kind of like confused. That's kind of what Kansas City looked like today. They didn't know how to handle that.
Yeah.
So overall, like I said, I actually enjoyed the game, just watching the chess match. I'm actually looking forward to watching it again, so I can really, dig in. Being at it, and I wasn't at it. It was just three of us watching the game, but but we talking and and chit chatting, eating and drinking and stuff like that. So, but I really want to sit down and really watch the game again and look at the more intricate details of it. But shout out to Tampa Bay, congratulations. Part of me, the hater in me, hates the fact that Tampa has 2 Super Bowls and we don't have any because their fans don't deserve it. They're talking about Buck Nation. There is no Buck Nation. There is no Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans outside Pinellas County or Hillsborough County, Florida. But that's neither here nor there. But to the team itself and the organization, that's a huge accomplishment, man. That's big. So shout out to Tampa Bay.
Shout out to Tampa Bay. Honestly, shout out to Bruce Arians too, man.
He said he might retire. I think he said they won. He might retire. So I think he might walk back on that one, but we'll see.
He probably will, at least to come back, because I think Tom Brady's coming back. So Tom will probably talk him into coming back or whatever. But
shout out to Todd Bowles. They didn't give Todd Bowles not one credit that game. They didn't give him no credit.
Shout out to Todd Bowles. Had a great. His defense played great today. Played great today against a great offense. Played great. Tyreek Hill looked regular as hell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He looked regular as hell. So again, people think that you just show up and you just show off, and that's what you do because you got this talent. But the other guys on the other side have talent and they have coaching too. There's a lot of layers to this. Football fans and Browns fans, we just love to think that certain guys are just a distraction, et cetera, without understanding how the game is actually played.
Right.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill is a factor, and what these guys did to Todd Bowles, going to Sean's point, made sure that this guy wasn't gonna have 200 plus yards on us and 8 catches in no first half like he did when they met in week 12. We're not going to do that. We gave him room. We're not giving him room this time. We gave him space. We let him run kind of however, and we were trying to meet him at certain points. You ain't going to win that way. He saw that. He picked that up, and they made adjustments to that. Now, the scarier part is that might mean that Kansas City makes adjustments to how they run their routes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and think about this. They're going to have or at least be close to fuller, close to their original offensive line going into next season.
Yeah. All they need to do, if they just mix in the run, they don't even have to be
they have to get
60-40. If they just went 70-30,
their problem
past the run ratio.
I agree. Their problem, but you also got to have an offensive line, bro. You can't expect, especially in this situation, because here's something that's underrated in their offense. They do run, but some of their runs come from their quarterback. This dude wasn't running tonight. You know why? Because that toe was on fire. That toe was on fire, and you could tell it was hurting. He wasn't trying to go nowhere and do nothing. So that he wanted to be a pocket quarterback tonight. That was a problem. However, agreed. If you had a running game, you could be a pocket quarterback. That'll give you the time that you want. So I would expect for them to either pick up a free agent running back or pick up somebody in a draft that they think is capable.
Yeah, Edwards-Helaire is a good back.
No, I like Edwards-Helaire, but what we're seeing, I'm gonna be honest with you, the NFL is going more towards two guys.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
So you're gonna need somebody else because while Edwards-Helaire, I like Edwards-Helaire. I like that kid. And the way he ran today, he ran great today. He was man, that dude was running today. When they gave him the rock, yeah, of course he had a couple of spots where where he had a couple of losses or whatever. I think they just kind of sniffed out the run. But that's what they did against us.
Right.
They'll sniff out the run at a certain part. I'm sorry, that was Tam. I'm thinking about Kansas City.
Let me ask you a quick question, kind of related but unrelated. Let's say you are on, a championship winning team, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you really didn't contribute all year long. You kind of was a backup. You rode the bench. You may have played a little bit. Now, would you be, celebrating, taking selfies, and running around acting like or would you kind of just quietly celebrate? Kind of celebrate with your teammates. You celebrate. You're gonna pop the champagne. You're gonna do whatever. But would you be taking, selfies and doing all types of stuff like you actually helped win the championship?
Well, it depends on what type of backup I am, to be honest. There's some.
No, you ain't playing. Like you didn't even play in the Super Bowl. You ain't getting like one snap.
I mean, but listen, here's the thing. Me, myself, is different than it's different. It's different. It just kind of depends on my role. I know what you're saying, and I do agree. There's some people that go way more hammered than Tom Brady gonna go. There's some guys that's gonna go way more hammered than Leonard Fournette's gonna go. There's some guys that's gonna go way harder than Mike Evans. Shaq talked about that when the Lakers won the championship. Like this guy that was like over the top. Instagram loaded with pictures of them and the trophy and all, but you ain't even get off the bench, homie. So I do understand that. But some of it does go back into how did you end up on the bench? Like if I'm a veteran, I've been in the league for 15 years and I done played on multiple teams. And here I am probably on my last leg. And I finally got what I actually came into the league for. I'm probably going to take some selfies with that trophy, and I'm probably going to act a doggone fool, whether I got in or not.
Now, I may take a personal picture for myself. And the reason why I brought this up is because LeSean McCoy is ridiculous.
No, LeSean McCoy needs to cut it out.
He's ridiculous. First of all, he's posted himself, during his media day interview. I'm like, dude, you've been inactive for like the last 6-7 weeks, and then today, he's posing with the trophy with a cigar. I'm like, you ain't do nothing.
You now see the question that you should have posed, I would have a problem with that because he hasn't contributed at all. That's different. That's what I mean. It's different layers to it. Was I a backup player that played at some point? Was I a backup player that like if I played, say 5 games in the middle of the season because somebody was hurt, I contributed.
Like I said, I'm not saying he's not allowed to celebrate because he's on the team.
No.
And he may have contributed during practice on the scout team, preparation, stuff like that. But that dude was running around there acting like, he had 3 touchdowns and 175 yards in the ground.
LeSean McCoy needs to. I get it. I've never won a Super Bowl, but I get it. I get you being excited. However, the over exuberance of winning is ridiculous when you haven't put forth the effort. But listen, I don't know the balance in it. I get it.
Yeah.
But if you're Jack Haley that played on the Lakers squad back in the day, you barely got in. You were like, listen, the platoon of power forwards and centers when Jack Haley played, it was Kareem, Michael Thompson, Jack Haley. Power forwards was him, and at one point it was Sam Perkins, and then him. Bro,
Right.
you're not really playing. You're not really playing. So, I'm sorry, AC Green was in there too. So you're not really playing. But I can't be mad at you, Jack Haley, because you at the celebration party and chicks want to holler at you or people want to take pictures with you. I can't be mad at you
Right.
for wanting to be a part of that. However, just know, as The Rock would say, know your damn role. And according to what my partner is saying, it doesn't look like Shady acting like he in his first year in Philly right now.
Right. And that shit, you know what? And at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. I sound like a hater.
I get it. Nope, I get it. Nope.
You know, but me personally, when I played team sports and stuff like that, and we won, and I didn't contribute in any type of level, I ain't feel like, you know, it's cool we won, but I wasn't like, yay, and running around and acting a fool with it.
Hey, listen, when you contribute to a championship, I won 2 championships ever in my life. And let me tell you something. I've been on a lot of teams that didn't win. I felt like, man, it's thank you. Like finally. Because it was towards the end of my playing at that time. So I was in the reserves and we playing the base championship in flag football and we won. And I was the starting cornerback. I had a pick and like I played well. Like they said to me, I think you could be the piece because we didn't win last year. Well, that was our first loss in 5 years, and we won the championship. Mm-hmm. So I played a part in that. And then we won the base championship in basketball. And I was the starting point guard. Like I contributed. I hit shots. I made free throws. They were like, man, we never had a guy to run a squad like this. That I felt like those 2 championships were my championships. I'll never get those up. You know, I'll never get those. So I do understand when you play for a long time what it feels like to win one, but I always want to be a part of it.
Right.
So, but I don't squat on cats that didn't play a part. Like I wasn't looking at guys that didn't get in the game. Like, what you celebrate? No, we all should celebrate. We're a team, et cetera, et cetera. But I do understand that sentiment of the guy who has on a uniform, but that mug ain't sweaty or dirty all year. By the way, not just in this game, all year long. You were just here. Like did he even put on a uniform?
Yeah, his uniform on a day. It wasn't like all tucked in. It's like he put it on just to not look. He put the uniform on so he wouldn't be in street clothes. Like he knew he wasn't going to play.
Yeah, see, yep, he probably could have been in street clothes.
But
so
hey.
I got it. I get it. So listen, man. Listen, at the end of the day, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm still watching some of the post-game stuff right now. That's why I keep looking up. So I'm watching the NFL Network right now. They have Lavonte David. Hey, anybody who understands anything about football, Lavonte David kind of locked up Travis Kelce. He's available this year, Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
So
maybe he's looking for a change of scenery.
Just throwing some stuff out there. Since I bring up the Cleveland Browns pretty much in every comment I make, let me bring him up again because they're interviewing him right this second, and he was instrumental in this win. We just got finished talking about cats that probably weren't instrumental. Lavonte David had about 4 pass breakups today on Travis Kelce. So
and Lavonte, listen, man, I know the weather is not good here like it is in Tampa, but we have great restaurants here. You know, a great theater system. You know, we got world-class, you know, Broadway facilities. If you want to go check out some shows, there are things there. There are a lot of amenities here in Cleveland.
And listen, I'll tell you something else that's great about Cleveland. You, Lavonte David, would have carte blanche here at Two Guys in the Mic. Easy. Yeah. Easy carte blanche.
Come on the show anytime you want.
You can come on whenever the hell you felt like it.
Plug whatever you want. You know.
And then we would give you, you know, as a parting gift, one of our Two Guys in the Mic face mask, so you can carry it around the Browns facility. It is perfect for you.
Just food for thought, man. You know, so
yeah, man, just think about it.
Just think about it. You know, it's a long off season. Go on vacation. I know you're tired. You know, celebrate, enjoy tonight.
When you take the Lombardi Trophy home tonight to lay down with it, just think about what we said. Just consider what we said, bro. Because while you in Tampa, you'll never get on the show.
Exactly.
Well, maybe you would. Maybe once or twice, but you wouldn't have carte blanche.
Right. So just take some time, relax, and think about it, and hopefully we'll see you in number 50.
We'll check you out. Who
has 54 for the Browns now? What bum was wearing that number?
Wait,
was it Malcolm Smith?
I didn't hear you, bro. What'd you say?
I said, what bum on the Browns is wearing 54 this year? Was it Malcolm Smith?
I think so, and it don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. So the number will be free because your number will be because that dude, whoever it was, won't be here next
I think
season.
It was Malcolm Smith, who won a Super Bowl MVP, and we know now that winning a Super Bowl MVP means you just had a really good day.
Exactly.
In some cases. Because he didn't bring any of that to the field for us. No. However, Mr. David, fill us in, let us know whenever you want to, you know, come to Cleveland.
And bring a friend. You know, we may allow you to bring somebody with you.
Please, be a show friend, bro. Be a show friend. We have show friends here. We do. We have guys that come on the show and are welcome on the show whenever they feel like coming on. You will bump all those guys out.
Exactly.
You don't understand what level of you know that gets you to here in Cleveland. Everybody wants to be on this show. They don't know it yet, though.
Exactly.
You could be the guy that makes them understand. Oh no, you ain't been on Two Guys in the Mic yet? What y'all waiting for?
Yep, so we're counting on you being in the Browns uniform next year, my man. But look, let's go ahead and
we got to talk about the Hall of Fame real quick.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was just about to transition into that. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame selection. The Hall of Fame committee, you know, announced their 2021 class. Well, actually, this year's ceremony will probably be one of the better ceremonies because you got to do 2020 and 2021. So that should be that's going to be a long ceremony for one, but it would be interesting to see all those guys go in, you know, together.
Right.
So, but you know, they left out Clay Matthews. He made it to what do they call the modern era? He was a modern era finalist.
Yeah.
Guy played 20 years in the league. I think 21 years in the league. A starter almost all 21. Very durable, great numbers. And for whatever reason, he got snubbed again. And they're letting guys in that are like, to me, you know, not showing, you know, a Cleveland bias, but some of those guys to me are just,
listen, tell me this, bro. Seriously. I'm going to ask you a series of questions here. Do you think John Lynch is a Hall of Famer?
No. Borderline.
Okay.
Borderline. You know what? I won't say no. I mean, John Lynch was a very good football player.
I agree with you.
Borderline Hall of Famer.
Okay, so he's a borderline Hall of Fame. Is this his second time being on the list?
I think it might have been his third. I'm not 100%
I think
sure.
It might be his third. I actually think it might be his third. So I have an issue like you have an issue. To me, they're fringe guys that get this pass, but they didn't do as much as our guys or some of the guys that should get in are. Like I have no issue with Calvin Johnson. I mean, freaking Megatron. He's freaking. Didn't I just have a rant about Detroit having some of the best, two of the best that's ever done it? It's Megatron. It's freaking Megatron. So I don't have an issue with Megatron. I ain't got a problem with Peyton. First ballot Hall of Famers, as he should have been and as Calvin should have been. But y'all have been sitting on, because let's be real, Drew Pearson should have been in the damn Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
What are we still waiting for to put this dude in? So he makes it in this year, finally. Why? What made this year different than last year when he didn't make it in? Or the year before that he didn't make it in? Alan Faneca is a Hall of Famer. Why is it this year that he decided that he should have been in it?
Right.
That's where my issue is. Like, what made this year the year for a guy that is clearly a Hall of Famer? Alan Faneca is a Hall of Famer. I'm not mad that he's in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
He should be in the Hall of Fame. But what made this year the year versus Clay? Because Clay Matthews was everything that you said he was, plus some. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. He led the league in tackles 3 times, I believe. He's not some regular dude who's only famous because his son was a superstar for a period of time.
Yeah, he's very durable. You know, to play 20 years in the league at linebacker, that's a position you don't play 20 years at.
You don't play 20 years at linebacker, especially an old school. I mean, and this may come off the wrong way, and people may hear it and be like, "What the hell is it?" He's an old school white dude. He's not. Listen, I remember the first time I seen his son run. I said, "That's Clay Matthews Jr." You could put together all the tape of Clay Matthews Sr. running like in clips. You'll never see him move as fast as his son. No, he was not a fast dude. He was slow as hell, but he was so instinctive. His football IQ was ridiculous, and he could tackle. His tackling, which is what I've been mad at in terms of our linebackers for a long time, this dude will tackle you. He'll tackle anybody.
Yeah.
He didn't care. He was going in there. He was making that tackle, and that was it. Which is why he led the league in tackles. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But because now I'll tell you this: had he been a linebacker for the Giants, had he been on a San Francisco team that won the Super Bowl, had he been in Dallas, he have been in the Hall of Fame for 10 years now.
And that's why I was kind of surprised because sometimes in NFL they play politics. So the year that New Orleans won the Super Bowl, you know, they went ahead and put Ricky Jackson in, which I still to this day don't think Ricky Jackson is a Hall of Fame linebacker.
Ricky Jackson's numbers are under Clay Matthews.
And on top of that, if you was going to put Ricky Jackson in, you had to put them other 3 linebackers in too. You had to have put Sam Mills.
Yeah. And Sam Mills deserved to be in before Ricky Jackson. Let's be real.
Exactly.
Let's be real.
I didn't understand. Like, I don't understand what goes into their thinking. And just a little caveat, you know, the baseball voters are assholes. I mean, you don't put nobody in the Hall of Fame. How you go a whole year and you don't put nobody in there?
I hate them. I hate those old white men. I hate those old white men. Yep. Again, I may be saying something a little controversial, but at least I ain't calling a guy who happens to be in the same race as the Iron Sheik, the Iron Sheik. That's what my partner does. But if we're gonna be controversial,
throw me under the bus with you.
Together. I can't stand those old white dudes. Old white dudes decide the fate of people who do things. These particular old white dudes decide the fate of guys that do things that they can't freaking do. These guys can't hit a baseball, but they're the guys that deciding a guy who does hit a baseball, whether they should be or not into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you don't put nobody. Now the thing, now the one positive thing is that finally, Clemens and Barry Bonds,
Bonds
they're
had the
getting
highest
close.
number. Bonds had the highest
Yeah.
number. I think it was 61%.
Right.
So he's close. He's getting closer.
But the fact that you don't put, and then you snub Omar again. And here's my thing. Here's another problem I have with all Hall of Fames is that for the most part they just look at like baseball. They lean toward just offensive numbers, right? Which I hate because a defensive guy that can make this much of an impact on the game as offensive guy. And if you put Ozzie Smith in, there's no difference between Ozzie Smith and Omar Vizquel. It's just that Ozzie Smith was the first of his kind. He was the first flashy shortstop. So he always took precedent over Omar. But Omar, man, when you go back and watch his highlight, he made some of the most incredible plays in the history of the game at that position.
The streak of Golden Gloves at shortstop. Who owns that? Who owns that?
Vizquel.
It's Omar. So stop telling me this dude ain't great. There's a reason that there's 11 straight Gold Gloves in this dude's house.
Right.
There's a reason.
And even in football, like a guy that specializes in kickoff returns, because the special teams, they don't get consideration. Now they'll put their cleats. Yeah, they'll put their cleats and they'll put their jerseys and stuff like that for breaking records in the Hall of Fame. But why don't they get? Because they were at their position,
like Charlie White Shoes. The guys that
even
as we came.
Josh Cribbs, like when you go back and watch his highlight reel, he was like, this was one of the best returners of all time.
I'm with you. I'm saying guys like Charlie White Shoes, who really was just a returner. Like that's all he did. That's it. The Ice Cube. The Cube was great too. We tend to skip over the Cube because he came kind of like before Metcalf and before. But listen, the Cube was cold.
Right.
He didn't score as many touchdowns as Metcalf. He didn't score as many touchdowns as Cribbs. But the Ice Cube was cold. He was nice for what he did. Now, I don't know that he needs to be in the Hall of Fame, but I understand what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. But at least speaking, even
there's a specification for that, and it should be. Like, why is there more kickers? There's some kickers that need to be in there too.
It's what? It's 2 kickers in the damn Hall of Fame.
It needs to be more than that, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It needs to be more kickers. It needs to be more punters. You can't keep telling me, if you're telling me a guy like Alan Faneca, who deserves to be there, gets in, what are we basing this on? What stats does Alan Faneca?
It's one freaking punter in the Hall of Fame, to my knowledge.
And it needs to be more. There's more than one dude that has specifically been a kicker or a punter that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, is there any great punters that I can just call off the top of my head? No. But I'll guarantee you, if you touted the one punter that's there, and if you let in more punters, you'd get more. But I don't think that they promote it that way, man. And I agree with you. I think that these guys focus mostly on offense. They mostly just say, how many touchdowns did he have? How many yards did he run for? How many touchdowns did he throw for? How many touchdowns did he catch? How many receptions? Why the hell was Chris Carter waiting around until 3-4 years ago to get into the Hall of Fame? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, because he pissed somebody off because he's a straight shooter. That's all it
And
comes down.
that's it. That's it. That's all, bro. It's only because somebody had their panties in a bunch. And women ain't the only people that wear panties.
Yeah, same thing with T.O.
Come on, bro.
T.O.'s the
How
first
the hell
ballot.
did T.O. not? Why was he not a first ballot? That was just some vindication type of thing that somebody was holding, trying to get back at him for all the years that he was being an asshole to him. That's it. That's it. Terrell Owens, I don't give a damn what he did or what he didn't do. Terrell Owens is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And you are a piece of crap as a journalist if you don't vote him in. Like I lost.
It's a couple of guys that won't get a sniff because of their so-called antics. Chad Johnson, you look at Chad Johnson's numbers. Chad Johnson got great numbers, and he was a great receiver.
Should be a first ballot Hall of Famer too. First ballot. He's not gonna be, but he should be.
No, he's not. Matter of fact, he's eligible. He's eligible now to go in, and you don't even hear his name at all, right?
I was getting ready to say that. And when did we hear him even mentioned? We didn't even.
He may have hope, man, because it took Edgerrin James a minute.
But listen, the edge is different. Edgerrin was slightly different. I don't know that Edge was the first ballot guy. He should be there, but I don't know that he was a first ballot guy.
He's in. He got in last year.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like I thought he should have been in. I thought he was a Hall of Famer, but I wasn't sure that he was a first ballot guy.
Right.
Guys like who was better than Chad when Chad played other than T.O.?
At that point in time, Moss was still in the league.
I mean, but come on. You talking about the three best? Yeah, right. One of those, two of those.
He was still going up against Torrey Holt and
but listen, and all those guys are in.
Isaac Bruce. I don't think Torrey is in. Isaac Bruce is in, right?
Isaac Bruce is in, and Torrey should be in too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. So if Isaac Bruce is in,
all of those guys are right there. Right. All those guys is right there. Like to me, to say that Ocho ain't equivalent to Isaac Bruce is absolutely ridiculous. To say that Ocho ain't equivalent to, and I hated Ocho because he played in Cincy. We're not saying that Houshmandzadeh should go to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, who should. Chad should. Chad Johnson should be in the Hall of Fame eventually. And I'll be honest with you, I think he should be a first ballot Hall of Fame. Just like T.O. I think that when I look at my list of the greatest wide receivers ever, Chad is like he's probably in my top 10.
Yep.
Probably.
So look, voting committee, get your act together and leave your biases at home and put the guys in that these guys have bled, fought, endured all types of pain,
got crooked fingers and all that stuff.
Yeah, because you don't know how important that is to some of those guys. So some guys don't care. Some guys understand what it is, and they're not. They're like, if I get in, I get in. If I don't, I don't. But to some of these guys, man, like Chris Carter, he cried when he didn't get in like that first time. Chris Carter.
Yeah.
Because he said that was important. He's like, that's something that he wanted to make sure that his children saw. He was like, he don't know how long he'll be here. So he's like, he wanted to make sure his children saw him go in.
Listen, Chris Carter waited a long ass time, and it should have never taken that long for Chris Carter to be in the Hall of Fame. But Chris Carter was an asshole. So, they took it out on him because he was an asshole. And then they were like, oh, well, we can't promote. I heard this. I read this. Well, we can't promote drug use. Bitch, do you know how many people are already in the Hall of Fame that, look, Lawrence Taylor was the first ballot Hall of Famer. You didn't have a problem with that.
And then he did, and that was early in Chris Carter's career.
Way early when he was in Philly. Way early when he was in Philly.
Yeah, you're right. Like Lawrence Taylor was high on the field for years. He was high as hell out there balling.
LT was high as hell in the game of play. in the game of play. And y'all
Right.
gave him first ballot because you couldn't deny his talent. So how do you deny the talent that Cris Carter had? I mean, Cris Carter was probably the most consistent, other than like Steve Largent and Ozzie Newsome during our generation. Who was more consistent than them?
Exactly. Had
But
the best hands, I've seen.
I agree. Listen, because of, and Sean is gonna be mad that I say this, but because of Cris Carter, it led to guys like what's his name? Oh, smiley face from Pittsburgh, Hines Ward.
Okay.
It led to those guys. It led to that type of a receiver. It led to the guy that wasn't super fast, but had great technique, great route running, great work ethic, and awesome hands. Hines Ward was that.
Exactly.
Hines Ward was that. I don't like Hines Ward as a football player because he played with the Steelers and he killed the Browns. I don't like that. However, again, this is what I'm saying from earlier. I understand what football talent equates to. So Cris Carter was that guy, and he made guys like him understand I ain't gotta run 4-2, 4-3, 4-4.
Right.
I can be a 4-6 guy, be on the slot, and just get open. Just have my technique cold. But Cris was on the edge. Cris was the first and second. He only became the second receiver because Randy Moss showed up. So people miss that kind of stuff. And again, this is another reason why I only do this show with my brother, man, because Sean understands that stuff. I don't have to convince Sean what I'm talking about or where I'm coming from because we actually watch the games, whichever sport we're talking about, and we understand it, whether we're being biased or not. We do understand how the game should be played. And that's what makes this show awesome. And that's why Lavonte David, I'll bump it all the way back around.
He brought it full circle.
Brought it all the way back around on y'all. Lavonte David, you need to be in Cleveland so you can be on the show every week. You'll have a whole segment to yourself in our midweek show, man.
Exactly.
We'll sit back and let you talk and tell us.
And I'll bring you donuts and hot cider. Already on the show. You got refreshments.
Hot donuts too. We won't get them until the light is on.
Krispy Kreme, like Krispy Kreme, authentic. Not them gas station Krispy Kreme. I'm talking about the Krispy Kreme that come off the
we go straight to the Krispy Kreme spot when the light come on. We're here for that dozen for Mr. Lavonte David.
Exactly.
You know, while everybody talking about every other washed up dude in the league, we got a guy who actually covered the guy who plays for the AFC champions. We need that guy. We need that guy because we're trying to be the AFC champions.
Exactly. We're trying to be world champions.
And listen,
yeah,
we got to be the AFC champions to be the world champions.
That's true.
That's why we're trying to go for that guy. While y'all looking for other dudes and guys that ain't even playing right now. Let's look for guys that are going to actually make an impact for the Browns.
Right.
So that being said, I'm angry at the Hall of Fame for not allowing my guy. Listen, if Clay Matthews Jr. makes it into the Hall of Fame before his father, I'm not gonna be. I'm gonna be even more unhappy.
Right. And that could be happening soon. So
it could be happening soon.
Definitely can happen soon. But look, partner,
it shouldn't. But I'm gonna be unhappy, bro.
Right. I'm about to pass out.
So don't pass out. Let's just go ahead and end the show so you can go to sleep. So
I gotta get up early in the morning.
Listen,
I hate to do it abruptly, but I'm here.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm literally like on fumes right now. So
well, listen, bro, I'm glad that we were able to get this show out of the way. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. My last few takes are, for you guys that are listening or want to check in on us, y'all can check in on us on every streaming platform on the audio side. Google. We are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. I'm trying to think of why am I having a damn brain fart? We're on Anchor,
Spotify.
We're on Spotify. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah,
we're also
Two Guys Mike 216.
We're on IG and Facebook. If you go to the YouTube page, y'all can comment. Please hit the subscribe button. All of those streaming platforms, whether it's video or audio, are Two Guys and a Mic 216. Holla at us. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Talk to us. Get back at us, and we will try to comment back with you guys. Sean, thank you so much for finding some energy to do this show tonight. We will see y'all some point in the midweek. We hope you guys stick with us. Y'all have a good night. Everybody be safe. Sean, you have anything?
No, I'm good, man. I'm done. So you guys have a good week. Everybody be safe and stay warm, man. Stay out this cold.
Please stay warm, man. All right, y'all. Peace. Love you, bro.
Love you too.